Well, listen. If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help because voters—
The camera cuts in and the atmosphere is tense. The lights are bright, but the tension is brighter. Whoopi Goldberg, known for her dominance on The View, is ready to do what she always does, take control, but today, something's different. Across from her sits Karoline Leavitt, and within moments, Whoopi's smug smirk is wiped clean off her face. Karoline doesn't just hold her own, she takes the lead, and in one unforgettable moment, she hilariously destroys Whoopi on live television. The audience is frozen, the panel is speechless, and the internet already on fire.
We can't allow on this show to have things said that we know for a fact are not true.
This isn't just a disagreement, it's a takedown. So before we dive into the viral moment that flipped The View upside down, go ahead and smash that like button and hit subscribe so you don't miss another beat of this unfolding drama. Did you subscribe? Perfect. Let's get into it.
I think she's probably been put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
I want to be clear, though. It's not her first job. It was her first press briefing. She worked in the previous Trump administration.
It starts like any other episode. Forced laughs, sarcastic digs, and an audience trained to clap at every punchline, no matter how flat. The studio is buzzing, the camera pans across the co-hosts, and you can almost smell the self-satisfaction. Whoopi Goldberg is in her element. She's calm, confident, and poised to control the narrative, just like she always does. As the conversation turns to politics and culture, the usual setup unfolds. Karoline Leavitt, the youngest White House press secretary in history, is seated as the token conservative voice. You can feel it. This was supposed to be another softball takedown, another segment to clip and circulate. Then Whoopi leans in. She adjusts her chair, lowers her voice slightly to give that theatrical pause, and with a smirk, she drops what she thinks is a mic drop moment. Without wokeness, you wouldn't even have this job.
Colleagues, I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now, as
I'm
for
sorry,
this
guys.
debate,
We're going to come back out to the panel. Karoline, thank you very much for your time.
That was so good. So good. In a statement afterwards, this young lady claimed her, quote, on-air snub proves that you-know-who will not be treated fairly in the upcoming debate. Now, do you think this is going to make people doubt whether CNN can stay objective, or is this more the same of, everybody's against me, it's all rigged, I tell you. Is everything rigged?
No, it's their MO. That's what they do. Rachel Maddow said last week, she's like, if the election is lost, it was rigged. If there's a debate, then the moderators are probably—
Boom! The studio doesn't erupt in laughter. Instead, a strange stillness settles over the room. Joy Behar shifts in her seat. Sunny Hostin raises an eyebrow, her smile freezing for just a moment. Even the usually enthusiastic clappers in the audience look around as if trying to gauge the room. It's not just a jab, it's a dismissal of Karoline's intelligence, qualifications, and every bit of work that got her to that chair. The air gets sucked right out of the room, and everyone feels it. And Karoline? She doesn't flinch. No eye roll, no defensive posture, no retaliatory quip. She just looks at Whoopi, and then she smiles. Not the nervous kind, not the kind that tries to smooth over tension. This was a slow, knowing smile. The kind that says, you just made a big mistake. And in that moment, Karoline doesn't raise her voice. She raises the stakes. She calmly, coolly starts unpacking what wokeness has actually produced in the government. She names real programs, real spending, real numbers. She talks about gender studies programs in Central America, bizarre government-funded social experiments, and politically driven international aid policies. She exposes the absurdity, not with emotion, but with evidence. She connects dots. She shows how ideology has replaced practicality, how performative activism has infected the very systems that are supposed to serve the people. And as she speaks, the power dynamics on set shift.
The most divisive and disgusting speech that any president, certainly in my lifetime, has ever given. He essentially waged war on half of the country by saying that we are all a threat to democracy because we believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first. It's not radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the might of your own economy, not economies around the world. You know, we have seen cultural Marxism trickling its way through every institution in this country. The public school system, the higher education university system, Hollywood, big tech, the corrupt mainstream media that I fought against in President Trump's White House are indoctrinating my generation of Americans into hating our country, hating one another based on race and gender and sex and all of this other BS, quite frankly.
Whoopi tries to jump in, but Karoline doesn't stop. She speaks with clarity, speed, and an iron grip on the facts. She doesn't argue. She educates. And Whoopi, suddenly she's not in control anymore. The smirk is gone. Her fingers tap nervously against the table. She looks to Joy for backup, but Joy just offers a forced chuckle and looks down. The audience doesn't know whether to clap or stay quiet. The energy has changed, and everyone watching, whether in the studio or at home, knows they just witnessed something rare. Not just a comeback, a complete reversal of power. And Karoline, she doesn't even need to say checkmate. Her silence says it all. Joy Behar shifts in her seat. Even Sunny Hostin looks unsure. The audience, so used to clapping along, hesitates. But Whoopi doesn't notice. She thinks she just won. But Karoline, she doesn't blink. She doesn't get flustered. She doesn't even raise her voice. Instead, she smiles. It's the kind of smile that says, you just stepped in it. And then she strikes back with facts. Karoline doesn't insult. She doesn't mock. She presents data, cold, hard, uncomfortable truth. Her voice is steady, unshaken, every word calculated, deliberate, and crystal clear. She starts by citing government spending records, real reports, real numbers. She points to federal funds being used for woke-driven initiatives, millions going into foreign gender programs, social equity theater and overseas embassies, taxpayer-funded propaganda masked as public outreach. She calls out programs like the U.S. Agency for Global Media's funding of content partnerships that push progressive ideology abroad. She mentions inclusive campaigns in children's entertainment that seem more interested in exporting ideology than teaching basic values. She references line items from actual federal budgets. She quotes congressional hearings. Even a few in the audience, people who walked in to cheer for the panel, start nodding slowly. They may not agree with her politics, but they can't deny she came prepared. The co-host looks stunned. Whoopi tries to chime in, but Karoline doesn't let the moment slip. She pauses and drops the line that freezes everyone. If wokeness is about inclusion, why are conservative women the ones being silenced?
Well, listen. If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on. Right. That's what you hear. Yeah. When they don't have anything to hold you with, nothing to make you think about what they have to say, they talk at you, not to you. And that's what she was doing. And she was doing it, and it's not new. No. But everybody's hip to you all now. Yeah. And we are anticipating that you are not prepared. Because you keep saying you going and you preparing when you're on the trail.
The silence is immediate. Whoopi opens her mouth, but nothing comes out. Joy turns to her notes, pretending to shuffle them. Sunny just stares. The audience holds their breath. A few heads turn to each other, wide-eyed. It's not just that Karoline made a point, it's that she exposed the entire framework The View has relied on, and she did it calmly, clearly, without raising her voice. And in that moment, it's clear she's not just a guest. She's the one driving the conversation. The unraveling isn't loud. It's subtle, slow, and painful. Whoopi fidgets in her seat. Her signature posture, leaning back with confidence, shifts forward with unease. Joy Behar forces a smile and tries to crack a joke about pineapple pizza, hoping a little absurdity might break the tension. It doesn't. The audience doesn't laugh, not even a chuckle. Sunny tries to pivot, reaching for a legal talking point she's used in countless interviews before, but Karoline cuts in with a calm precision. She brings up precedent, constitutional protections, a case from the Ninth Circuit that shut down a similar attack on a conservative commentator. She's not just prepared, she's miles ahead. Every attempt by the co-host to steer the conversation away from their own discomfort is blocked by Karoline's poise.
Well, listen. If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on. Right. That's what you hear. Yeah. When they don't have anything to hold you with, nothing to make you think about what they have to say, they talk at you, not to you. And that's what she was doing. And she was doing it, and it's not new. No. But everybody's hip to you all now. Yeah. And we are anticipating that you are not prepared. Because you keep saying you going and you preparing when you're on the trail.
They go for emotion. She brings logic. They reach for outrage. She counters with clarity. You can almost see the production team in the booth losing their minds.
Yeah. I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here. Oh, yeah. Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job. Yeah. Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason. Because black people couldn't get into colleges. Because women could not get into the colleges they wanted to go to. This is all women. Yeah. See, this is not black, Asian women. This is all women. Women were not invited to this party. It was a man's world, and we busted our asses to make sure that this was a...
One camera angle lingers too long on Whoopi's blank expression. Another misses a cut to Sunny, leaving dead air. A producer is whispering frantically into the host's earpiece. And then the call comes in. Cut to break. The music swells awkwardly, the camera pulls back, the audience doesn't applaud. It's the most uncomfortable cut to commercial in the show's recent history.
To add one last thing, what was interesting to me is Dan Rather weighed in on X, and he said, he compared our time now to the Nixon era, which was a little scary for me. But he said, enough with both sides-ism. When one side lies intentionally and repeatedly, they are no longer entitled to the benefit of the doubt.
And we should keep in mind, too, that the people that need to hear this are the people who are running the networks that are okaying this. Because this idea, it's like they say to you now, you can only work within this perimeter. But if the facts are not clear to people, that was what a journalist was there to do, to say, in fact, this is what went on and this is how we checked. Now, we've been given doubts that people don't know how to do this. The media has pretty much always been...
And when they come back, something is off. The lighting feels colder, the jokes are flatter, the smiles, all forced. Karoline remains calm. The power has shifted. The View isn't hosting her anymore. She's hosting them. As soon as the episode ends, the meltdown begins. Clips flood every platform. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Karoline's takedown is sliced into sound bites, reaction videos, and meme formats. Within an hour, she's trending. One clip of Whoopi blinking in confusion loops with the caption, "When you realize the guest brought receipts." Another meme shows Joy holding a cue card that says Plan B with a shrug. Hashtags erupt. The Karoline claps back under Whoopi wrecked. On to View Gate. On YouTube, conservative creators jump on the moment. Even liberal commentators can't help but acknowledge the power dynamic that played out live. And Whoopi? Not a word, no statement, no tweet, no follow-up. She's silent. Behind the scenes, ABC scrambles. Executives demand a PR strategy by morning. One insider says a call was made to Karoline's team to see if she'd consider continuing the conversation off air. She doesn't reply. She doesn't have to. And here's the bigger picture. This isn't a one-time flub. Whoopi's record is long. She's made tone-deaf remarks about the Holocaust. She defended bizarre statements about race and gender. She mocked celebrities like Carrie Underwood and Elon Musk. And each time, The View barely escaped disaster. Until now, Karoline's segment didn't just expose one opinion, it exposed a pattern. A show built on groupthink, on tearing down outsiders, on rewarding hostility over honesty.
To each side. And now when we've gone to this place where you only hear this, see, we have to tell you both sides. That's why Alyssa's here, that's why Anna's here, because we don't all think the same way. And it's like you all don't think the same way, so you want to hear what other people say. But when they're lying, we can't have it. We can't allow on this show to have things said that we know for a fact are not true. That's what it used to be. That's what it needs to go back to be. And that's where y'all come in. It's okay to feel how you feel, but demand the truth. Demand folks fact check what they're telling you, because what they're telling you is important. And
ABC has paid millions in settlements behind the scenes. But now, even insiders are questioning how much longer they can keep covering for Whoopi. Producers are talking, sponsors are calling, viewers are leaving. And Karoline? She's the reason the conversation is happening at all. She walked into the lion's den and walked out in control. What did you think of Karoline's takedown? Should Whoopi finally face consequences for her behavior? Is The View out of touch with everyday Americans? Sound off in the comments below. Like this video if you believe facts still matter on TV. Subscribe for more brutal truth, viral moments, and political showdowns. Karoline Leavitt didn't just survive The View. She rewrote the rules, and the whole world watched it happen, live.